I would say just, be patient and trust the process. As long as you're doing the best you could do and you're giving it your all, you could look yourself in the mirror and you're like, I did the best I could today. I went all in. I was the first one in the shop, the last one to leave. I handed out 50 business cards this week. I spoke to this amount of people. You're doing the most you could do, and you're doing everything to learn and pay attention to the craft and how you could get better. As long as you're doing that, just patience, and everything is you're just gonna evolve into this person that you're gonna attract what you're visualizing.
Discipline's simple. It's just remembering what you want. So don't forget to always prioritize what they can't see. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Rise Above, where you'll be able to hear, learn, and grow from individuals who've rose above their circumstances, which led them to what they define as success. I've been truly blessed in life to have a great group of friends that are not only doing remarkable things for themselves, but willing to share their journey, even if it only helps one individual change the trajectory of their life. Today's guest is an individual that I wrote down on the top of my list on this podcast, and I've been blessed to have him way earlier than anticipated. They say there's always a story behind the glory, and he has a very powerful one. With over 1 million followers collectively on all social media platforms, he's the owner and CEO of Visionary Barbers, has an impressive network of clients, Daddy Yankee, just to name one of them. I've had the pleasure to know him for about 2 years now, and honestly, I don't even like to call him my barber. He's truly an artist, a businessman, someone that's like a brother to me, and always keeps me fresh. It is none other than Yandy Rivera, also known as the one and only Yandy Blendz. Yandy, thank you so much for being on the show, man. It's truly an honor and blessing to have you here.
Likewise, brother.
So we got to talking yesterday. I've known you for about 2 years now, and bro, your story is truly powerful, truly inspirational, and I want to start by talking about behind all the glory, right? What everybody sees on social media, everybody sees the success. Who's Yandy? Where did it all begin for you? Where were you born? Tell us a little bit about your early childhood.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you, AB. So pretty much my name is Yandy Rivera, known as Yandy Blendz on Instagram. I was born in Calle, Puerto Rico, and I grew up in Kissimmee, pretty much what we call Orlando. I moved out here when I was 7 years old. Picked up a pair of clippers when I was 13 years old. Didn't really like people cutting my hair out here. There wasn't many barbershops and stuff like that. So from 7 years old, I pretty much had to learn English. Started, because Puerto Rico Spanish, everything's Spanish. Yeah. So when I moved out here, it was, struggling to learn English and just, get familiar with that and, start a whole new life out here in Orlando, Kissimmee.
That's huge, man. And the transition from Puerto Rico to Kissimmee. I know we were talking yesterday, and you mentioned something about like it was only your mom that had to raise like 4 kids, right? So like, talk to me about that.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy for her because as a single mom, our father wasn't around. She moved when we moved out here when I was 7 years old to Kissimmee. She was on her own. She was on her own doing the best she can with 4 kids she had and just trying to, provide for us as a single mother.
And that's huge because I guess when we're younger, right, what we think about is, especially having immigrant parents, what we think about is like our parents compared to parents out here, right? Parents that were from here, right? And when you get to being a little bit older, you realize like, man, like your parents did the best that they could,
exactly.
Like with what they knew, right?
Exactly.
Like they came from a different country, like they know what they know, and then they come out to America where things are just different, right? And we're just so used to comparing our parents to what's out here, and like I said, like they did the best that they could. So
absolutely
that's a great point. So you talk about your siblings. How many siblings you got?
Yeah, we're 6 because my mom ended up having 2 more with my stepfather, and so we're totally 6. I got 2 brothers, my bad, sorry, and 3 sisters. So we're a total of 6.
Are you guys close?
Yeah, we're close, but not as close as we should be, and we have the potential to be.
Got it.
We definitely got a potential to, because we still communicate, but it's not like we're together as much as we want to be or should be.
Okay, and is everybody out here in Florida?
Yeah, everybody's actually out here in Florida. Pretty much everybody. Just my immediate family's out here.
Awesome. So, so I know you got a big family. Now, talk to me about how was your relationship with your mom? I know you said, she came out here. Your parents were divorced early at an early age, so she came out here, raised you guys on her own. So what's the relationship with your mom? I know from early childhood to like when you got a little bit older.
So pretty much, right now our relationship is all right, but I'll tell you the story. Like, I feel like she was always there for me, and at a younger age, and it got to the point that obviously she had another marriage. She got married. She got in another relationship, and she found herself battling and having 2 more kids on top of that. So it was 6 of us, and just going through those motions and having to deal with us. We weren't the most well-behaved kids either. Even though we had good morals and stuff like that, we weren't the bestly behaved in a lot of things. And I know she had to struggle a lot. So they were very. I used to think they were very strict.
Yeah.
I used to think they were. Yeah, I used to think they were very strict. But looking back now, they actually let us, be pretty free and go out and, play with our friends and stuff like that. A lot of things that kids these days don't even have. But it got to the point that like we had a fallout when I moved out. Like they had mentioned something like, oh, if when you leave, you don't come back. Something like that. Yeah. So
of course.
I took that personal, I guess. And when I was like 17, turning on 18, I had a girlfriend. They weren't happy with it because she wasn't from the religion. She wasn't from the religion. So they weren't too happy about that. And they weren't probably happy me even being in the house if I was going to continue that. For them, what was not right in the lifestyle. So, after that, I moved out. Me and my mom didn't talk for 7 years.
7 years,
Yeah,
wow.
We didn't talk for 7 years. And I went through a lot through those 7 years. And it wasn't until like years later that we actually started talking again. And things worked out differently. And now we have a good relationship, but it's not, I would say like that time from there really affected our relationship, because it could have been, a lot more solid. But I still got time to repair that.
Right. No, of course. And I know you mentioned to me when we were talking, like you had a role model growing up, and I think it was your stepdad, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, man.
And I actually sorry to cut you off, but do you think that your mother getting into a relationship had something to do with the distance that you guys began to have?
I'm pretty sure it had to, because it was she weren't just having to take care of our needs. It was now somebody else also. And maybe that, made it a lot harder for her, a lot more stressful for her. But, then you asked me about my stepfather, right?
Stepfather,
yeah. So, he came along, great role model, man that takes a woman with 4 kids, is not, it's
that's
very
true,
rare,
man. That is
very
true.
rare. And I feel like, besides everything we went through, I owe him, gratitude, nothing but gratitude, and thankful for him, because he showed me a lot of things. He didn't have the entrepreneurship mindset, but he had the success mindset in the sense of like what he was doing. He's a mechanical engineer, and he studied, he went to college, and he, did the best. Like I remember he was a manager in McDonald's providing for us. And
wow.
That's how while he had that next job, which was as a mechanical engineer. And growing up with him was great in the sense like I learned how to drive, stick shift cars. I always liked the cars, but I felt like because of him, I got into certain type of cars and I liked them even more. And he gave me the opportunity, me and my sister, to learn at a very young age. I think it was like 13 years old, to like learn how to drive stick shift.
Driving his car?
Yeah, driving his car. He had a sports car,
Nice.
GSR Acura at that time. And we go to a parking lot, and he'll pretty much, let us drive his car, just like learn. And we learned at a young age. I learned at a young age to drive, pretty much thanks to him. So just that, and a lot of other things that he was there for, and he was more like he was younger. He's 10 years younger than, so he was more like cool. We looked at him like inspiration and stuff like that.
So
the cool stepdad.
The
cool stepdad. that. The smart guy.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah.
So now we're at a point where like 17 years old, you move out, right? What was your What was your first job? Did you stumble upon barbering right away, or what was your first job?
My first shop was, I was like 15 years old. It was called Genesis Barbershop. I feel like that's where I really grew as a barber. And like at that time, there was like the best barbers in that barbershop. And for me to be able to have an opportunity to even work there was phenomenal. So that was my first shop I actually worked at.
When did you actually like pick up the clippers?
13 years old. I was 13. Like I was just tired of getting like, the hairstylist wouldn't do your shape up in the front or anything like that. So I found some clippers in the bottom of the sink in the bathroom, and I was just like, I started just cutting myself up, shaping myself up, cutting myself up, everything. But it was I just wanted to learn. I was like, if they're gonna mess me up, I'm gonna mess myself up. Nice. So yeah, that's how I started like grabbing a pair of clippers. Then I just started giving free haircuts out and in my
at 13.
At 13, 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then after, so you pick up the clippers first. So how does, from picking up the clippers to you getting your first job, how did that happen at the barbershop?
Pretty much I started just working, offering free haircuts and behind the house. I was cutting, I remember, for free. Then I went up to $3. Then I went to $5 and $7. And I remember that I had a package back then for $20. I had got certified with the Studix kit to do piercings. So for $20, like I would do that. I would do I would do your earrings. I would do your haircut, and I had another package that I would also dye your hair. So I'll do that. I got into doing highlights at a young age. At like 15 years old, I was doing highlights. I would put the little cap, do the highlights. Yeah. It was.
And not licensed, self-taught?
Nothing, just nothing. I think I got inspired also because there was two other barbers in high school when I was in 9th grade that they were like popular. Their name was Andy, actually. Andy and Edwin. They were the two, like, I remember they used to like battle each other. And then there was me and my guy Jose, which he was the one that got me the first job at Genesis, actually. But it was like they were up here and we were the newbies, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that was... It was pretty cool, because we had something to look up to, and just kept growing after that and getting into barbering.
I don't mean to backtrack, but you told me a funny story about getting expelled from school.
Yeah.
Could you talk about that story about the razor?
Yeah, that was crazy. So pretty much, this is when I'm not 100% sure that like I wanted to cut hair. Like I like the mechanics too, so yeah. I had the opportunity. I'm going to high school. Let me use the resources that they had at Tico at that time. So I signed up for mechanics, and I remember me and my boy we was into cutting hair. So he brings a razor. My boy Jonathan brings a razor to the school, and he lends it to me. And during our break, I'm doing this guy's eyebrows, my friend Tito's eyebrows, and I'm just the teacher comes in. The teacher comes in, and I look at him, and I'm like, oh. And I just kept, I was like, I didn't act paranoid. I'm like, I'm not doing nothing wrong, I'm not doing nothing wrong. And they made the biggest deal about it. They pretty much expelled, they expelled us from school for that. I had to go to the school named Crossroads, which was a school for like bad kids and stuff like that, over a razor. Yeah. So it was a pretty.
So not even like used as a weapon. You were literally just cutting.
I was just doing his eyebrows, and I think he had like pimples, so like he had like a little cut.
Oh my god!
So they made the biggest deal about that too. They were taking pictures of his face and all that.
That's crazy. No, that was actually a funny story when you were telling me yesterday. But so we're at Genesis Barbershop, right? After that, I think you had a huge turning point, which is like the biggest part of your story, right? So you said at 23, were you still there at 23 years old? Is that like
no. I went through many shops. I went through in my first 7 years. I went through a lot of shops.
A lot.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that goes there.
I actually went. I worked there, and it was back and forth. I was there till like I was 17, and then from there I worked at this barbershop, which like I felt like I think I was 18, and I felt like that's where I got all my speed. I got like to like really like practice. We went from charging, I remember the full service was $20 where we were, and this was years ago. I'm talking about 20-something years ago. So we went from charging that to a barbershop that we're charging $8, everything. So imagine, to make that money, you had to cut way more heads. But this barbershop was more about volume and it was more about quantity, not quality. But I added a little bit of both, and I had that speed, and that I used it to my advantage. I remember,
How many heads would you
I
cut?
remember the first day I got there, the record was 30. I cut 32.
Wow, in a day?
In a day, I cut 32.
Jeez.
The next day, I cut 38. The manager wasn't liking it. Because he was the top. He was the top.
Yeah,
so he
yeah.
was already like, you could already feel like,
Yeah.
somebody came in here, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's how it happened. So I started working there, and they helped me a lot, helped me evolve, and get my skills up. I was pretty good, but I got to get the speed and also just, have that barbershop relationship and pretty much just like do what I liked to do.
That's awesome. And like, how was life then? I know you moved out. Now you're in different barbershops, but you finally got to a barbershop that you've been, you're actually like succeeding in and you're doing well. So like, just explain to me like what was life like then?
Oh, I felt like life was great back then 'cause it was just so simple. Everything was like I was doing what I love. At that moment, I felt like I had no fear. I had no nothing. I didn't care about anything pretty much. And I felt like sometimes a good attitude and there's a bad attitude. It could get you, but it helped me in the sense of like I would go through anything and just like bounce back or whatever. But yeah, I was pretty good because I had, at that time, I was, I had, my girl that I lived with and stuff like that back then, I had my 2 cars, I had my house,
Wow.
I had my stuff just, for at a very young age, 18 years old, I'm doing my thing.
Wow.
I'm known in the industry, in close, pretty much like in whole Orlando. I'm known as one of the best barbers. And it was fun. We
Nice.
were all into like car racing and stuff, and it was always like in the barbershop that's what all we talked about, cars and racing and this and that.
Nice.
was
So that's amazing. And one thing I've noticed about you from the time I met you to like present day is like your passion and like your love for barbering and for doing what you do. What is it about what you do? Like what did you fall in love with when it came to just cutting hair?
I fell in love with just being able to be myself and have a relationship with my clients, and pretty much I felt like I was going to hang out to make money. I was coming to the shop to hang out.
Because you never mentioned money. Like that's the thing. Like you never mentioned money first. So it was never about the money.
It was never about the money. It was more about like I liked it to do it. It was a getaway. It was something I liked it to do and just get my mind off whatever. And it was my spot. Just get to the spot, and yeah, I wanted to make money, but that wasn't the priority.
Right. You're just doing what you love to do.
What I love to do, yeah.
No, that's amazing. And I feel like if there's like any advice that you have to give to anybody that, look, they're chasing their dreams, right? But what happens is like, society, the outside world, all the noise, everybody gets caught up with chasing other people's dreams. They get caught up with chasing the money, right? What bit of advice would you give to the listeners that, they're looking to chase their dreams, they're looking to achieve their dreams, they're looking to follow their dreams, but they haven't got there yet? Like what did you do?
I would say just, be patient and trust the process. As long as you're doing the best you could do and you're giving it your all, you can look yourself in the mirror and you're like, I did the best I could today. I went all in. I was the first one in the shop, the last one to leave. I handed out 50 business cards this week. I spoke to this amount of people. You're doing the most you could do, and you're doing everything to learn and pay attention to the craft and how you could get better. As long as you're doing that, just patience, and everything is you're just gonna evolve into this person that you're gonna attract what you're visualizing.
I love that, and I think that's what a lot of people lack nowadays is just patience. Because what they see on social media and what they see in the outside world, all this success, but people don't know like what goes behind it. And I think they end up putting their dreams on the back seat, right? And just chasing the money. And the reality of it is like you can't sustain happiness for the rest of your life if you're chasing the money. And I admire that about you.
Appreciate that. So thank you.
No, and of course. And there's a huge turning point that you told me about yesterday in your life, which is like the most moving part of your entire story. And it started off at 23 years old at the barbershop. So play by play, tell us exactly what happened. And I know these are one of these things that like I appreciate you being comfortable talking about on camera, because like you're making yourself vulnerable. And it's something something that impacted your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I remember telling you, so it was just a time in my life where everything was going great. Everything was going good. Business was good. Clients was good. And I guess you've been cutting, 7 years already, a while, and you maybe getting a little bored, or you wanted to spice things up, or just like have more fun. I remember a client of mine offering me a pill.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment he painted it to me like it was a Tylenol, like it's nothing bad. Let me, I remember that day. It's me and my friend. I remember he had offered it to me before, but I wasn't too interested. But that day it was just like, yo, let's do it. Let's do it. I remember I took it. My friend Junior took it at the same time. We were both cutting. We literally at the same time, 30 minutes in, we look at each other and we're like, yo, this is crazy. Like we feeling great. We're feeling, yo, we could cut 100 heads. Let's go. So I'm the type of person, I have addictive personality. So I felt like that got me caught up into that. And I started looking for it every day.
So what was it, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, Percocet.
Okay.
Percocet, yeah. Thanks for asking.
No problem.
Yeah, so I got into that, and it led to, being addicted to it. By the time I found out I was addicted, by the time I was addicted, like, I remember the guy that gave it to me was like, oh, don't, take it easy, because now you tell me, now you're going to tell me that it gets you addictive. But, he knew what he was doing, Just sometimes I feel like people want you to accompany them in their misery, I guess. And with me being young, innocent in that aspect, I didn't have that malicious mindset at that time. I felt like I fell into the trap. And I started, taking it, got real high doses, super high doses, then got into the oxycodones and all that nature, and ended up just ruining my life in a matter of like 4 years. It just escalated, it got worse. I started, losing things. I started having problems at work, at the house, everything. It just got ugly for me. Started losing, my car. I got in trouble with the law a bunch of times. I got locked up a bunch of times for, stupid things. I thought, so pretty much I was just going on a down spiral. And it was a crazy time in my life that I look back and I reflect, and I definitely don't want to go back over there again.
Of course not.
And I make sure that I always remind myself, like, not even, just stay away.
Wow, thank you for sharing that, brother. That's huge. So how long did that time period last for you?
Yeah, so that lasted from 23 all the way to like 30 years old, pretty much. I think I started like getting more help around like 28, around there. I started joining a program. It was like a program that was like pretty much another drug, but it was legal, and you can just take that, and it'll
like wean you off?
Yeah, wean you off and stuff like that. But that's the thing. I at that moment, I kind of abused it, But I never abused it to the level. Like, I felt like I could have done better at that moment. But eventually I did, the goal was always to, like, get off and get my life together, That was the goal. It wasn't until, like, I was, like, 28 that I was like, I got to get this. I got to change, I was depressed. I was gaining weight. I was.
What was that moment? Like, what was that? I feel like everybody has this moment where, like, and growing up, whether it was something as like severe as what you went through, some sort of trauma, right? But when was that moment? Like, you looked in the mirror and you were like, "Yo, Yandy, you're fucking up. Like, and I need to change something." Like, when was that moment?
I think that moment was. I remember one time my boy. I wasn't into like cocaine like that, but like. It was a phase that I was just doing a little bit here and there, and it wasn't like my thing. It was never my thing. But I remember that day, like, he gave me something, left it under his door or whatever. He's like, go pick it up under the rug or whatever. And I was like, bro, this seems like a lot, bro. Like, for the $20, this is a lot. So anyways, like, no, that's whatever. So anyways, I remember that was the last time I ever touched that. I think I was bleeding on my nose for like almost a whole month. And it was just weird. It was just like it was nasty, disgusting. And that's when I was like, yo, this is nasty. Like, I can't do this. This isn't me. And I felt like after that, that was the last time I ever touched that. And I never did that. Even though that wasn't my drug of choice at that moment. But, it still It was part of that lifestyle.
Right.
And I was like, nah, I gotta stop this. This isn't it. I was feeling lonely. I was feeling, isolated. I didn't even know what to do. I was just in my room all the time, eating a bunch of junk food, not taking care of my health.
Were you still living on your own at that
No,
time?
at that moment, I was living with my parents. I actually ended up moving back like when I was
Wow.
like 27 years old, 28 years old. They gave me another opportunity. They see I wasn't doing good. That's when, everything started, getting better. And I started also at that time started going to church more and just, changing my perspective and my mindset and little by little cleaning my act up.
Nice, man. And that's huge that you can overcome that. When you look back at everything, look, there may be some listeners that got over this sort of adversity, that got over this sort of trauma. What would you say? Like, what was your like learning lesson from this? Would you think it's just environment? Was it the environment, the people that you're surrounded
Great
with?
to bring that up. Yeah, definitely. Environment is key. I had to remove that whole environment. Stop chilling with those people. I don't want nothing to know with those type of people that were into that, because it's big key. Like, oh, you're chilling with them and you already like that's the like that's what to do.
Like the cool thing to do.
Yeah, that's what we're doing today. That's what we're doing. We're either looking for whatever we're gonna take, and we're gonna take it and just talk a bunch of shit.
No, for sure. And then steps that you took, like what were the steps? So after you got to the point where you're like, all right, man, I've gained a ton of weight. This is where my life's at. I'm spending all my money on things that I'm not supposed to be spending my money on, drugs, whatever it is. What steps did you take to like get out of that? What was the next thing after that? So after that, like what, back to barbering? How did you get your life back together?
So I remember I got into a relationship, and that's when I was going to church. I started going to church. I started changing my mind, my perspective on it. I knew how to clean myself up, especially if I wanted to, marry this person. I got married. Everything got better, but it was still not 100%. I still once in a while would still do it. It wasn't big, but still I was still in a program. I was still working on myself, and it was like when I was like 30, I think it didn't work out. I had a divorce. That's when I was pretty gained weight. I had gained a lot of weight also during that time, and it wasn't until that time that I really, when I went through the divorce, that I used that as fuel and as motivation to really to remind myself who I always was and what I was capable of and what I could do. And take my life serious and just switch everything around. I knew that was the tipping point, the turning point right there when I went through that.
Got it. So I mean, just using your pain to fuel your passion, your purpose. That's huge. Now you're back on track, right? Life gets better, and what kind of happens next? How did we get to having your own barbershop? Having 2 barbershops now. So what's the story behind that?
So yeah, my first studio was before I got the divorce. I got the studio. I remember when I transitioned, I was at the barbershop for commission, and I remember he tried to put fear in me. That's when I started like expanding like my mind and just trying to, do my own thing. I had my own clientele. I started believing in myself a little bit more, and he tried to put fear in me, like, oh, you just got married, you're crazy. You shouldn't do that. Mind you, the studio's already finished. And he tried to put so much fear in me, but he almost won. Like, he offered me this crazy percentage. I almost said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to stay because maybe he's right. But then I was like, nah, this isn't it. This is now or never.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm good. I just started. I believed in myself. I opened up my first studio. It was a 2-chair studio. From there, with
the two-chair studio, explain like what your financial situation was at the time and how you opened up that studio.
Oh, the studio, my financial, it wasn't much that I had to invest in the studio. It was more when the financial situation for the barbershop.
Okay, it's 2 different situations.
Yeah, 2 different situations. So for the studio, it wasn't like I had to invest that much, probably like a few thousand or whatever. I was lucky that I was blessed that the place where I had the studio, there was a barbershop there, and he rented me a whole separate, my own room in this barbershop he was trying to create. on a second floor, and I was blessed that he rented me my own room, and I had my own studio in there, my own brand, everything. So it wasn't till that fell apart. Like they sold the building. They're like, hey, after like 2 years, I think, they're like, you have to leave because they're selling the building.
How much time did you have?
The thing was that the owner of the barbershop, officially, he had already left. Like they went out of business, but I'm still in business. He couldn't find barbers. It didn't go good for him. And that's when I was like, wow, I need to do something. I need to find a spot. I need to find a place. And that's when I found a new
spot. So how much time did you have to leave?
I had like 2-3 months. Not even, maybe. Not like 2 months around there.
So then how did you get to opening your first real shop?
Wow. So pretty much I was like, hey, I was already in a relationship with my lady now, Waleska. And at that moment, I was like, wow, I gotta do something. I gotta open up, find something new. And she supported me. She was like, oh, let's do it. We can make it happen. I came and I started looking for locations. I'm like, didn't even know exactly what I wanted. I just know that I had to get something. I was like, you know what? I should open up a barber shop, like a bigger, not just a studio. I should open up something that I could bring people in and give opportunities to people. And that's how that happened. I find a location. I remember I didn't have no money at that moment, but I just, I was a big believer in the law of attraction and certain things manifesting for you. At that time, I was applying all those laws, and that's when I proved to myself that it's real and it works. And everything that you want to create, you first create it in your mind, and then it becomes a reality. So I came and I found a location, got a great location, great price for being a storefront. I got the key. I remember probably say it was like $3,000, $4,000 to get the spot. How did I get the money to do that? It was crazy because I never had good credit. And that day, I remember around that time, I got approved for like a $4,000 credit card. Boom. Like, I remember I was jumping up. We was jumping up. Me and my girl was jumping up. Like, wow, this was great. This is great. Like, I was like, boom. So then I ended up getting another $4,000 from Square Credit. They gave me another loan.
So you got $8,000.
Yeah, so I have $8,000 now. And that's how I started little by little, just like getting everything ready. I remember the day that we went to buy the stuff for the salon, for the barber salon, everything was 35% off or something like that, just a 24-hour sale. So it was just like everything just manifested, everything just worked out. We went through the, through the process of just, doing it. I remember I had a cut in my house for like 3 weeks. And at that moment, I'm not paying rent. So everything I'm just stacking. Everything I'm just put it in. I got money from, I'm telling you, I don't even know where the money came. It just came. I just believed. I knew I had to do it. I knew how to make it happen. And the money just started coming.
Bro, that's an amazing story.
Thank you, brother. We set a goal to open up November 11th, which, by the way, it's going to be November 11th. It's going to be 6 years of this November 11th.
Damn, that's huge. Same barbershop?
Same barbershop.
Congratulations, bro. That's huge.
Thank you. We've been through adversity and everything, but we're still here and just pushing forward.
That's massive, brother. And then I mean, that's your first location. That's in Kissimmee.
Yeah, first location, 9 chairs. 9 chairs. Pretty big space. Went very well since the beginning.
That's amazing, brother. That's amazing. And then, so now you've got a full-fledged barbershop, 9 chairs, barbers cutting. I noticed, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, but the average barber doesn't do what you do in the industry, and that's just the reality of it. You bring a different flavor to the industry, and you literally met entrepreneurship and cutting hair. You've put that together in Visionary Barbers, as we see here. Talk to me about how the birth of Visionary Barbers came about.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's crazy how it happens. I'm doing well. 3 years in Yandy Blendz Barber Salon. Everything is going well. Everything's going great. Clientele is amazing. I'm hitting all my financial goals, which at that time I was just to make 6 figures, as a barber, just make that or more and make a certain amount every week. I'm doing really good, and I just knew I wanted to elevate my career a little bit more. I felt like I had a plateau. I had been there too long. I wanted to try something new. I just wanted to expand myself and really just put myself to the test and know it's like, yo, I could do this anywhere. I can do this anywhere. So I came and I decided to the opportunity. I knew I wanted to go to like Miami or LA, a big city, something like that. One day somebody just randomly calls me, hits me up, like, hey, I'm selling this barbershop in Miami. I'm like, okay. Young Teflon, he hits me up. And I was like, let me see it. Send me pictures, videos. Okay, cool, this and that. I'm looking at it. All right, cool. It was in this location. I end up coming down to check it out. There wasn't much in here. It was just like some broken stations. I remember I sold everything in here for like $600. Had to get that out before because we already getting everything in, getting everything situated. I bought the barbershop probably for like $12,000. Bought it just for the space. It was, for me, it was worth it.
Of course.
It was just to be able to come in here and do, and I took that opportunity. I was like, okay, well, this is for me. I'm going to be in this spot, new spot, and it's a blessing to be here. It's like its own city, North Bay Village, its own city, and, the only barbershop in this whole town. Like from North Bay Village, from the bridge and up, this is its own city. So we're the only barbershop in this town, which is phenomenal, and it's amazing. So it was a great opportunity to get in here, and that's how Visionary Studio came out. We ended up, my lady ended up believing in me and trusting me, like, hey, go, make it happen. She didn't like hold me back for my dreams and goals, and just came, helped me out. We made it happen.
How'd you get the name Visionary? Like, how did this all come about? The clippers, all of that.
The accessories, all the accessories and stuff.
Yeah.
So pretty much, I was sponsored by a brand that was called Diamond's Edge at that moment. It was a razor brand that I have some of the razors around here still laying around. I ended up like sponsored by them, but they were just had like razors and shears at that moment. At one moment, my guy Bebo, great dude. He offers me the brand. He's like, hey, I'm selling it. I don't want to deal with this brand no more right now. Like, I got a lot going on. Certain situations came up. If you want it, I'm selling it to you $3,000.
$3,000.
He sold me the brand for $3,000. I bought the brand off of him. It had like 20,000 followers already. The Visionary Barbers page. Actually, at that time it was Diamond's Edge. Okay. So how does Visionary come out? Visionary comes out one day that I'm just like, I want something that's my own, something that it identifies me and identifies what I do and how I visualize and think and visualize things before they happen. One day I just wrote the word. I just thought about the word Visionary. I bring it up to my lady. I get home. I'm like kind of like drafting it out and like, what can we put? I want like a logo or something in the middle to Visionary. She comes up with the bulb, puts it together, like kind of like sketched it out. So it was just like a combination of both of us. We come and, I send it to the artist, to the graphic artist, and that's how the Visionary came out. We started, selling products under Visionary. It was like an exclusive line of Diamond's Edge till we eventually made everything just Visionary. And then I added Visionary Barbers to it. I added barbers to it. Like I decided to just like, hey, let me just not just focus on barbering, but like that's who I am. I'm a barber, so let me just, brand it Visionary Barbers. And we've just been, growing ever since. It's been a few years. Every year we're just getting better and expanding the brand. We've came out with really amazing products that people are loving, and they're using them on a daily basis, making their job easier to use the tools too.
Bro, that's powerful. I mean, powerful story. And when you look at Visionary now, and what's the vision for you, for the brand? What does 5 years from now or 10 years from now look like for Yandy?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I definitely want to be like the number one barbering brand in the industry. I want to like have my brand worldwide, like expand it, like all the barbers using it, expand, have my hair product line, which I've always visualized and had. I've had samples and it's in the works. It's been in the works for years. We just haven't, finished, like haven't dedicated to that because everything is just one thing at a time and working at certain things. But I visualize it being top brand, barbering brand in the industry. with a lot of growth and just people like really loving to use it, like a Supreme or something like that, but for barbers or something like that.
No, and that's huge. And it's an industry that I feel like you're truly changing, because when you hear a barber, when you hear somebody cutting hair, and this is nothing against the industry, but here's the true reality of it. Nobody's willing to take that risk and bring entrepreneurship into it. Have your own brand. I mean, have your own 2 shops now. Have people sponsoring your brand. I mean, bro, that speaks volumes about you, and just shows that, look, if you really put your mind to whatever you're passionate about, whatever makes you happy, the money's gonna come. Absolutely. And I think that's what people forget, right? Absolutely. Everybody's so busy chasing the money, but they forget that, whatever makes them happy, and whatever they're good at the end of the day, the money will follow. So
exactly.
Appreciate the story, brother. We're at the end of the podcast, so I've got this part of the podcast that I was telling you about, which I didn't prepare you for, but I kind of prepared you for it. It's called the Final Rise, right? So the Final Rise, it's 5 questions, all right, and it's like a little speed round, right? 5 questions that you have to answer either with 1 sentence or 1 word. All right? Ready?
1 sentence or 1 word?
1 sentence or 1 word. That's it. You ready for this? Let's do it. All right. So, question number 1: what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
The best advice I ever got. The best advice.
Mm-hmm.
I think to believe in myself.
Perfect. Second question: what's the worst advice anyone's ever given you?
A limiting mindset.
Limiting mindset.
Limiting mindset that you can't do this, you can't do that.
You can't do it. Okay. So and that kind of falls hand in hand with the best advice, right? Believing in yourself. Love it. This is a good one. If you could do anything else besides barbering full time, what would it be?
Music.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you mentioned this, right? You do a little bit of music on the side?
I do a little bit. Yeah, I do it for as a hobby. I got my studio at the house.
Nice.
Yeah,
so
I do a little bit of rap and I rap in my tutorials sometimes.
That's sick, bro.
Yeah, I love the music.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's sick.
I love creating.
Anything has to do with creating, right?
Yeah.
Amazing, bro. And then question number 4: who's had the biggest impact on your life?
Biggest impact. In what aspect, though?
It could be any aspect. If there's a role model, if it's parents, if it's just anybody that you would give credit to on the impact that they've had on your life, and it could be multiple people. It's fine.
Yeah, it's multiple people, definitely.
Give me your top 2 or 3.
My mom.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, probably my ex during that hard time that I felt like that fueled me, and I was like, you know what?
To get you to where you got to today, right?
I really auto analyzed myself, and I was like, I need to change this. I need to do this. I need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I was being this way, and I corrected myself. And now, the woman I'm with now, I feel like she's definitely been a big part of my success. And
yeah, you always talk about her a lot.
Yeah, and definitely, inspired me to be better. And her daughters too, they've inspired me to be better also. Big part of it.
That's huge, man. Last question. What do you want people or the world to remember Yandy Blendz as? Like what's that? What legacy do you want to leave? Like when somebody says Yandy Blendz 10 years from now, 15 years from now, or when you're not around, what do you want people to remember you as?
I want them to remember me as an example. Like you can do whatever you want. Like in the industry, you can build your brand. You can, I want them to feel like they learned, and I get this love all the time, but that they learned, millions of people learned off of my content. They learned how to become better barbers, better businessmen, better in all areas in life. I want them to remember me as somebody who inspired, a lot of people to just be better in whatever they're doing. It doesn't even have to be barbering. It could be, whatever they're doing, whatever they want to choose, and whatever success is for them, because everybody's definition of success is different.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever success is to them, just follow that.
Bro, that's amazing, Yandy, bro. I want to thank you so much for being on the show with me. It's truly been an honor.
Likewise.
Do me a quick favor. Where can everybody find you? How do they find you on social media? Where can everybody find you?
They can find me at Yandy Blendz, YANDY_Blendz, BLENDZ. Find me there. I'm here in Miami, Florida. Living the dream, baby.
And make sure you book with them, guys. They say the best views are the hardest climbs, and behind the glory, there's always a significant story. Yandy's story has shown us that adversity was nothing less than a stepping stone to his growth and success. All he did was believe in his vision, and everything manifested right in front of his eyes. It's a truly powerful and inspiring story. So to all the listeners, if there's something that impacted you from today's episode or something that you can relate to, please drop a comment, share it with us. Myself and Yandy would love to hear from each and every one of you. And I want to thank Yandy. I want to thank all the listeners for tuning in to today's episode. Again, my name is Avi Javeri. I'm your inner engineer, and remember to always prioritize what they can't see. Discipline's simple. It's just remembering what you want. So don't forget to always prioritize what they can't see.